And there we go. In our time together, this is for our coming together and learning. And so, actively we should participate and get our questions answered and all look at the different ideas of what came across our minds during this week, because this is very important for us as a people to talk and have discussion about what it is that we are able to see within the Torah. Okay. We know that right now we understand that we're not clean, right? We understand it. Let me see, what do I have here? Stop. Let me do another share. Whiteboard. Here you go. All right. All right. So we have three individuals. The first is who? Who's number one?
Priest.
Yep. So that's Eleazar. Okay. Okay. He's a Kohen. Oh, I'm spelling that wrong. Forgive me, you guys. He's a Kohen. What else we got? We got the individual who's supposed to
Bring a red cow.
it's going to burn. Okay. The parah. Okay, which is the cow, and she had to be red. She was called red, which we would call aduma. Aduma. Okay. And then the next one we had was the individual. Yeah, we got someone who's the collector of the ashes. Okay. Of the red heifer. Okay. So the Kohen, and what does Eleazar's name mean? Or Eleazar, what does his name mean? Do you know? Let's break it down. Well, we know Eli means.
Does it mean like God is my help or help?
Yes, yes. Elohim. Okay, or my Elohim is my helper. Okay, or my help is Elohim. Okay. And then this other person who's doing this burning, this saraf, to burn the whole entire cow, they have to do the same thing that he did, which is he has to go ahead and wash his clothes, right? So he had to wash his clothes, his bagad, his clothing, and he had to wash his body. Okay. And then you have the individual who did the burning has to go through the same process too of washing their clothes, okay, which is kabes, which to wash the bagadev, which is the clothing. And this is prior to them going into the camp, and they have to wash their flesh, okay, their body, okay. I was thinking, well, why did these two individuals have to do it? But the third person, what's the difference? The third person had to do what? The third person only had to do what? Wash their clothing. That's it, not their body. All right. So that's what happens here. Okay. Yah is my helper. The priest sprinkles that blood, which I want to talk a little bit about. Let's break that blood down. Let me just clear this out right quick. Clear all drawings. All right. So when we talk about Aduma, okay, you see the word Adam. You see the word Adama in there, okay? This means what they call man, but I would call it humankind, okay? Which consists of both male and female. Aduma is the redness, the reddish color, okay? The reddish color, which comes from the root of, and then Adama is the ground, okay, the soil, the color of the soil. Okay, so humankind is reddish, okay, like our color, and the actual soil is reddish. It's reddish brown, okay. This in particular animal had to be reddish brown. Also, too, within the word Adam, you have this word Dam. Okay. Dam means blood. Okay. And blood is red. Okay. Then you also have a word called damam, and damam means to be silent. Okay. All right. Also, too, our word that I mentioned first when I got in and said, let's turn to the east, is called quedam. And that means the east. But why the east? Because the quaf right here means to gather or to rise, right? And the dam on the end is the blood. So the rising of the color of the blood, like they consider the sun to be like the rising of the blood of the sun. Okay. So all these different ideas. Oh, also too, let me not forget, we have our famous brother. What's our brother? What's his name? Who's
Esau.
Israel's brother? His name is Esau, but what's his real name? What's his other name? Edom. Okay, what should we call Edom? But it's really Adam. Okay, it's a different sound, but it still has that dominant and that dome. Okay, and they called him this because he was all what? Red. He was red all over. All right. So the blood, when the blood is spilled, right, it means there's a silence. There's something to, once the blood is spilled, it means the silencing of an animal or of a human being. It's a silence. They no longer speak. That's it. It's over. Okay. So when Yah's asking Eleazar, our helper, to bring this Adama or this Aduma outside of the camp, right? He says, I need you to kill her, and I need you to take her blood, and I need you to sprinkle it to the Quadam. I need you to sprinkle it here to the east, towards the tabernacle, right? I need you to do it 7 times. Why 7? Somebody tell me. What 7 represent?
Represents oath.
It's Yah's oath, okay? Which goes down to how many days do we have in a week?
7.
7. I know we want to say 6. It's 7. It's 7 days in a week. Okay. And so the 7th day is the conclusion of Yahweh's cycle of his oath. Okay. So when you look at the 7th day, that's a picture of the oath of everything that Yah has done all the way up to this time. Yahweh allows the people to stay inside the camp while he took the cow, the parah aduma, outside the camp. There's something in the New Testament says that this Christos, you guys know Christos, Jesus, right? Jesus Christos, he was taken out. They said he was taken outside the camp, but he doesn't represent or reflect any type of aduma at all. He doesn't. So you're looking like, well, he was taken outside the camp, so he didn't have to die inside the camp. So we took him outside the camp. He had to die out the camp. But they never said that he was a red cow. Did he ever have a yoke upon his neck? Did he ever perform any work?
No.
Huh?
No.
Yes, he did. Jesus Christos did some work. What was his occupation?
Oh, that's right. Carpenter.
Jesus Christos was a carpenter. So he performed work.
Milk that he had was the cross that he carried.
Oh, geez. Is that Qua? Qua's in the house. I'll let her in the house. Yeah, he did a work. Oh, thank you, Qua. So he was a carpenter. And what else was he? Okay. And then you said he bore a cross. So he carried a cross. Whoa. Did you hear what she just brought out?
A yoke on his neck.
So he put it, there was a yoke on his neck.
Yeah.
Ooh, girl, this girl's been studying. So he bore a cross. So he put in some work. Hey, remember, did he sweat? What did he sweat, Qua?
He sweat blood.
He said he sweat blood.
Blood and water.
Yeah, you understand? But it says his sweat were drops of blood. Right? So this guy doesn't qualify Okay. So what is the purpose of the Aduma, the Para Aduma? What's the purpose of this female cow? What's her purpose? What is she?
Purpose is to purify and to cleanse.
Yes. So purification, right? Purification from what?
A dead body.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but Yah more specifically says it's sin.
Oh, okay.
Okay. That's what he calls it. Okay. So now Yah's giving us a little bit more information. Is this a sin that's done? Did they do this intentionally? I'm just throwing some questions out there.
No.
They never intentionally decided to maybe
Sometimes
fought
if
the
you had,
battle? Yes, they did.
Mhm.
if you had to touch it, if you had to touch your relative's dead body,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you had to do that.
That's intentional.
Oh.
If you were at war and you killed and somebody got killed and they fell in your arms, you touched them and you had to move their body to after Israel killed a lot of people. Yah says go in there and take everything out of there. That was intentional. You understand? There's no accidents here on this. So this in particular so-called sin, okay, the sin that we're dealing with, okay, that we need to, and what is sin anyway? Let's define that. What is sin?
Violation of the law.
It's missing the mark.
It's missing the mark. So the mark is what? What is the mark that Yah wants us to know?
Torah.
What's the target? Somebody tell me. What is the target that Yah says you need to hit with the
Torah.
arrow?
To understand that he's set apart.
Thank you.
Hmm.
That's it. Mystery solved. I know I haven't started on Shabbat, but what did Moshe and Aharon do? They did not hit the mark. They didn't hit the mark. They didn't hit the target. The target, everyone, listen, Yah's taking the mystery out of this for us. If you and I can understand, this is what he's been trying to get us to see. What is the name of the place that the children of Israel arrived at? It starts with a Q. Not you, Rivqua. I don't want no answers from you.
Kodesh.
Yes, it's Quadesh. What is Quadesh?
Holy.
Just like Quodesh.
Set apart.
It's set apart. The wilderness that they went to was set apart. God took them there on purpose. That's why they keep asking, why'd you bring us out here? There's no water here. There's none of this here. You brought us out here to die? Yah brought the children of Israel into the wilderness, listen to me, in order for them to acknowledge his holiness. Every time he killed someone was because they didn't recognize his holiness. When he says this is a koch, this means it's set apart. Everything, even the kukim, the koch or the kukim that I given to you, which they call decrees and statutes, they're set apart. Which is what? My moedims, okay? My moedims, the days that you meet me, check. The Shabbats, check. The diet, check. That is the check marks. Yah's instructing us that I'm holy. He instructs us in Leviticus 19, be ye holy for I am, be ye kadosh. Don't come too close to me because I'm kadosh and I'll kill you. Don't touch this, even the Levites, don't touch, do not put your hands or look upon the Ark of the Covenant, Kohath family. If you do, you're going to die. Aharon, by the way, you're responsible for anything that goes wrong inside the tabernacle.
Hey, take a few extra minutes.
No.
Your license underneath my seat.
Oh, I seen you looking there. I seen you looking.
You see? That's what it is. Yah is looking to let us know that he is Kadosh. That's what he's letting us know. Okay. And that's the problem. That's the target that we're missing. If Israel would have accepted the fact that Yahweh was with them, and they would have accepted the fact that he was Kadosh, they would have not missed the mark. They would have been able to know, right? But the reason why we missed the mark is because we don't really understand that Yahweh is not a human being. These people have taught us that, sin for us. Somebody tell me what sins that you thought was a sin when you was a Christian. Let's talk about some sins. Since he says, I'm going to give you purification from sin, let's talk about it. So this sin, the first one he's talking about for us is dealing with death, from touching something. You touched it, right, with your hands, or you walked with your feet, or you were in an environment like a tent. And if you had an open or closed container, which one was contaminated?
The open.
The open is, right? The open one is contaminated, okay? So if you're thinking about a vessel, because that's what he's talking about, he says anything that's open is tameh, it's unclean, okay? Anything that's open is unclean. So Yah's letting us know that, guess what? You and I are what?
Unclean.
We're unclean because we're open. We're not, this is dangerous if you think about it. He says, if you're in a tent, somebody dies just because you're in there, now you're unclean. If anything that's inside the tent was open and there was nothing to seal it up, then you're going to be unclean. So Yah's letting you and I know that if you're unclean, you're just like that vessel that was open. So you and I are literally like an open vessel. That's why he says, if you touch it, boom, you're unclean. If you go to a grave site, you're unclean. As soon as you touch it, you're unclean. So with all these different ways of becoming unclean, you and I have to understand, in order to be in the presence of the Creator, you and I must maintain a level of cleanness and purity. Okay? With some other sin. Adultery, right? Is adultery a sin?
Mhm.
What happens to an adulterer?
Put to death.
They get put to death. All right. Do you get considered to be sin if you touched an adulterer? Is that considered uncleanness to you because you touched an adulterer? You put your hands on an adulterer?
I would think so, because they were unclean.
Yeah, but did you know that they were unclean?
Oh,
No, right? So I'm just trying to help us define, like, what is Yah talking about? So there's some sins that Yah says, if you touch something, you're unclean. Okay? What's Zazarat, right? Not how to spell Zazarat. If you got Zazarat, you were unclean. And anybody that touched you was unclean. So my point is there's certain sins that Yah says you can get by contact from touching something. Okay. What about touching pork with your hands?
Okay.
Are you clean or unclean?
Unclean.
You're unclean. You're unclean. You understand? If you touch the insect that was unclean, are you clean or unclean?
Unclean.
You're unclean. If you touched the bed that a woman had her monthly cycle and you didn't know it, and you touched that, you became unclean. You see?
Yeah.
If you touched somebody that was in a tent that had somebody dead in it, you would become unclean. Now, you want to hear the other trippy part? The person that collected the ashes of the red heifer, did they become clean or unclean?
They were unclean.
They were unclean, but before they touched those ashes, they were what?
Clean.
They were clean. They were clean when they touched those ashes. Eleazar was clean before he went out there and took the blood. The other person that went out there was clean. The person who was clean, they said, you got to be clean to even pick up the ashes. What are you supposed to do with the ashes? Put them in a what? What kind of place?
A safe place, a clean place.
A clean place. A makom, a clean place. Who is able to touch these ashes? Who is authorized to touch these ashes?
Kohen Haggadah.
Well, he could touch it. Yeah, we know that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, who else can touch it? Anybody that was what? Clean. Anybody that's clean can touch these ashes, but the moment they touch it, they become unclean. And after they become unclean by trying to make someone else clean, they got to go through a process of just washing their clothes. And then they'll remain unclean until when?
Evening.
Until the evening. So what are we seeing? We're seeing a lot of different things about cleanness and uncleanness. And if you touch somebody and all this, why? Why is y'all letting us know about this?
Because in order to be with him, you have to recognize clean and unclean.
Yeah. That's how simple it is. He's not just he's using the priest, you guys, just to let us know like what the difference is between clean and unclean. That's how we get it. We get it by being taught, right? And they're the ones who remind us and so forth and so on. So when you're reading the Torah and you and I are studying the Torah, Yah's just bringing us through this path to show us like, okay, as a people, as my people, you guys are under what they would call, name of our Torah portion is a kuk kim or kuk. Okay. You're under that. Okay. I think they call it kukwa. Yeah. Kukwa. You're in a kukwa. Okay. And that is something that is to that which is separated is brought together. Okay. You're separated and you're brought together. So the idea of this kukwa in the Torah and the instructions is to bring that which is separated together. What Yah wants to do to maintain, and I want you to hear me, Yah wants to maintain the relationship as Akoti Kavika has said, well, he's always forgiven us and he's always trying to find a way. If you notice, Yah's trying to find a way for Israel to maintain their relationship with him. That's what he's doing. So everything he's given us, these are royal, by the way. These are royal and they're divine, and they're only for a certain group of people. You might ask yourself, well, shouldn't everybody be following this? And the answer to that is no, not yet. Let me share something with you right quick so you can understand. Let me give you what Yahweh says so you can understand why he's saying what he's saying to us. Okay. I'm going to share my screen with you. I'm going to let you know how special you are. Okay. Here, let me show you how special you are to Yah. So you can wrap your mind around this. What we'll find in the book of Isaiah is, and I think I'll go to 41st, just so you can know the difference between you and other people. Oh, why is this thing, dude? I hate this thing. All these little ads and all this kind of stuff. So the book of Isaiah, Yashayahu. We're going to go to chapter number 40. I'm going to just spin right here, right quick, and then I'm going to take you to another chapter. I want to bring you to the point where you can find out what other people mean to Yah. Okay. There's a lot of questions that are asked in the in this in particular chapter. Okay. One of the things that we want to know about Yah is how does he feel about us and how does he feel about other people? He says that, let's start in verse number 6, because it says, a voice says, proclaim. And I answer, what should I proclaim? All humanity is merely grass. All is kindness like wildflowers. The grass dries up, The flower fades when a wind from Yahweh blows on it. Surely the people are grass. Okay, that means you go be here 1 minute and then you gone the next. The grass dries up, the flower fades, but the word of Yahweh, of Elohim, will stand forever. You who bring good news to Zion, get yourself up on a high mountain. You who bring good news to Yerushalayim, cry out to the top of your voice and don't be afraid to shout out loud. Say to the cities of Yehuda, here is your Elohim. Here comes Yahweh, the master Elohim, with power, and his arm will rule for him. Look, his reward is with him, and his recompense is before him. He's like a shepherd feeding his flock, gathering his lambs with his arm, carrying them against his chest, gently leading the mother sheep. Now the questions are this: who has counted the handfuls of water in the sea? Let me not go too fast. As you know, the Europeans and the Christians have taken this and made a picture of it, of a shepherd feeding his flock. It's a very famous picture. And he has his lambs around his neck and one of them in his arms, and he's carrying it against his chest, and he's leading the mother sheep. So who did the Christians say that this is?
JC.
They say this is Jesus, Christos, right? Check this out. So then the next question is, Yah knows that they're going to do this. He knows that this is going to happen. So Yah begins to have us, Yashayahu, to ask the question, because Yashayahu's name means salvation. So we have to ask ourselves some questions. Who has counted the handfuls of water in the sea and measured off the sky with a ruler and gauged how much dust there is on the earth? Weighed the mountains on scales or hills in a balance? That's a question. Do we have an answer for that? Can we answer this? Anybody?
Yes.
Yahweh.
Yeah, there you go. There's the first answer. Bingo. Second question: who has measured the spirit of Yahweh? Who has been his counselor, instructing him? Somebody got the answer?
No one.
He instructs
No
himself.
one. We getting somewhere. No one. Okay. Whom did he consult to gain understanding? Who taught him how to judge, taught him what he needed to know, showed him how to discern?
No one.
No one.
Okay. Got a question for you. For Jesus, Christos, right? Didn't he sit in the temple with the Pharisees, and he was reasoning, and they were teaching him, and he was teaching them, and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yes.
The nations, check this out. The nations are a what?
Drop in the bucket.
They count like a grain of dust on the scales. Okay, the islands weigh as little as specks of dust. They mean absolutely nothing to him. The Lebanon would not suffice for fuel, or its animals would not be enough for burnt offerings. Before him, who?
Oh,
All the nations are like nothing. He regards them less than nothing. They mean absolutely nothing to him. In our Torah portion this week, you found out that there were some people that had attacked Israel, and what vow did they make to Yahweh? Somebody tell me. The Canaanites took some of Israel and attacked them, right, from the Negev, and said, and took them, some of them captive. What did they say to Yah?
If you give them into our hands, we'll destroy them and their cities. It was a vow of total destruction, utter destruction.
Utter, to exterminate and devote everybody and everything living in it to death. Because those nations meant nothing to him. He regards them less than nothing. So then all of a sudden in the New Testament, they have the key to understanding who our Elohim is. And he loved the world, huh? Is that what they told? Is that what John, the anonymous writer, told us? That he loves the world. Listen to this. Now, Yah's going to ask another question. Since we know the other answer is Yahweh and then nobody, nobody, nobody. Here's the question. With whom then will you compare Elohim? If none of these people mean anything to him, if none of the nations count as nothing but dust, Yah's asking you and I, who are you going to compare to me now? I'm the one who put everything in place. Who are you comparing me? By what standard will you evaluate Yahweh? Who can define, what human being could define who Yahweh is? This is a mistake on behalf of the nations. The nations have come up and created an image and a God so you and I can define who he is. This has been everybody's big question. Who is he? What is he like? Does he like us? Does he love and have compassion? He loves the whole world. He'll forgive sin. You could touch anything dead now. You could go to a gravesite like Yahushua did. Jesus Christos. He went to grave sites. He touched dead people. Oh, that's because he was God. He was touched by prostitutes. He was touched by women who were unclean for 12 years of just a running issue of blood. Are you serious? What they're doing is they're tearing down Yahweh's Kukim. The first letter in the Kok is what? It's a ket. And what is the ket? Somebody tell me, what is it? It separates. What separates people?
A wall.
A wall. And what did Paul the apostle tell you that his God did? Tore down the wall. A partition. It separates us from everybody else. If you and I get rid of Yah's Kok, we get rid of the Moedims, we get rid of the Shabbat, we get rid of the diet, we get rid of not touching anything unclean. We tear down the wall that Yah has put up. Why do you think Yerushalayim had walls?
Separate.
To separate
Wow.
the unclean from Yahweh's presence. They got you and I believing that anybody can walk in Yerushalayim. Yah puts up walls to separate the unclean from the clean. Yah established a camp to put the unclean outside the camp. And when he made this red heifer, he says, I want my people to stay in my presence and remain in my presence. So instead of putting them outside the camp on this occasion, I'll kill a red heifer and I'll let the sacrifice of that in particular animal that never had a yoke upon her neck, never experienced any hardship, representative of people that I want to be around me. I brought you out of the land of Mizraim to break the yoke off your neck. I told you in the book of Yirmiyahu that I'm coming to snap the chains that are on your neck, and I need to break the yoke of the foreigner that's on your neck. And I will.
That's what we say you're gonna do.
Don't you let these people tear down Yahweh's walls. Walls are there to separate. Even in the tent that the people lived in, they had a separation. What was the separation within the tent? What was the separation? Somebody tell me. What was going down in the tent? You know, the bed, what does the bed look like? Like that, right?
Mhm.
Where is it? This is a bed in the ancient Hebrew. This right here is a wall. It's a wall of separation. The men stayed over here and the females stayed over here for their separation. You understand? Walls are good for separation. You have congregations, the men should be on one side and the females should be on the other. All this stuff that you and I are getting over in these nations, they put everybody together. They mix the men and the women together. Now you got the transgenders. Was there any transgenders in Israel? Yes or no?
Nope.
Yes, there was a
I believe there are.
transgender. Y'all put a Torah in place that said a man should not put what?
Sleep with another man.
Don't you put nothing on that belongs to a woman?
Oh yeah.
Don't you dress up like no transgender? Was there homosexuals in Israel?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. You understand? Ain't nothing new. The Torah provides even for them. My point is, they're trying to tear down the walls that Yah has put up. Yahweh's walls of separation are Yahweh's decrees, folks, which are called the Kukim. Sorry, I'm so excited. I can't even write sometimes. You understand what the Coke is? Not the Coca-Cola, the Coke, okay? Kokim. That's what Yah gave to us. The gathering, that which is to gather, that separate, to be brought together. So this is the reason why they're doing this. And then he tells you who the person is. He says it's an image made by a craftsman, which a goldsmith overlays with gold, for he casts silver chains. What do you mean? Because they're evaluating Yahweh to an image. You see, a man too poor to afford an offering chooses a piece of wood that won't rot, then seeks out a skilled artisan to prepare an image that won't fall over. So why is Yah mentioning this in the book of Yashayahu, the time of salvation? Because then he's going to ask us, don't you know? Don't you hear? Haven't you been told from the start? Don't you understand how the earth is set up? How's the earth set up? He who sits above the circle of the earth, for whom its inhabitants appears like grasshopper, stretches out the heavens like a curtain and spreads them out like a tent to live in. This is what Yah looks at the earth, like a big old tent. I spread out the curtains. This is his house. He reduces the princes to nothing, the rulers of the earth to emptiness. Scarcely their planet. So now you're going back to him telling us about who people are. He said they're like grass. They're nothing. They're nothing. They're scarcely, their stem takes root in the ground. Who? The princes, the rulers. They're nothing. When he blows on them, they dry up. The whirlwind carries them off like the straw. That's it. Then he asked the question, with whom then will you compare me? So you could compare me to a prince. You're going to compare me to a human being. You're going to compare me to an image. Who am I equal with? Who's my equal? Ask the Holy One, the Kadosh One, the set apart one. Who? Who are you going to compare me? Who am I equal? Oh, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Those three are one. Oh, really? Turn your eyes to the heavens. See who created these. Huh? He brings out the army of them in sequence. What armies? The army of the stars. He's summoning each by name. Okay? Through his great might and the master strength, not one is missing, not one of them. Then he asks us the question, why do you complain, Yaakov? Why do you say, Yisrael, my way is hidden from Yahweh, my rights are being ignored? Often I know I feel this way sometimes. There's a lot of times when people take advantage of me and have taken advantage and have done some things to me that I don't feel like it's never been made right. And the question will be is, why are you complaining? You and I don't believe that Yahweh, our way is hidden from Yah. That's what we think. We think our way is hidden from Yahweh. Our rights are being ignored. See, when you and I trust in Yahweh, he will not ignore our rights when he decides to take action. The coming of Yahweh has to do with the judgment of the nations for their behavior. This is the reason why he mentions that the nations mean absolutely nothing to him. This is the reason why he mentions that the humankind and the princes are like grass. He said, haven't you known, haven't you heard that the everlasting Elohim Yahweh, the creator of the ends of the earth, does not grow tired or weary? He's not a human being. This is why he mentions tired and weary. His understanding cannot be fathomed. You can't. We will never be able to fully understand and fathom who Yahweh is and the greatness of who he is. We have little glimpses of things. We have stories of Yah that's given to us. But he tells us that, who are you guys comparing me to? So then he lets you know that, hey, look, I invigorate the exhausted. So a person that gets exhausted cannot invigorate somebody who else is exhausted. Just like in our Torah portion. Question, can an unclean person make an unclean person clean?
No.
No. Ask another question. Can a sick person pray for somebody else to make them be healed? No. How can a sick person pray for healing for another sick person? They themselves are sick. Why are you asking for something you don't have for yourself? See, that doesn't make sense. That's fairy tale. A clean just on a very basic level, a clean person, or excuse me, an unclean person cannot make a person clean. You need a clean person to make an unclean person clean. They got to go through the process. And the process of the person who's clean becomes unclean by even going through the process of making someone clean from a human being perspective. So would Yah choose a human being to get rid of the sins of a human being?
Never.
Never. He's not doing that. You understand? We see here that the sin of death, by touching it, by mere touching or being in an environment with it, okay, required something to go to death, and Yah chose a parah, which is a feminine cow that was red without spot or blemish. Now, let's define what a mum is. A mum is a defect. Yah says a priest, if a priest has a mum, can he serve in Yahweh's temple?
No, he can't.
No, he can't. Can he eat the food of Yahweh? Can he eat the set apart food of Yahweh?
No.
Yes, he can. He can. It's not his fault that he has a mum. He was born that way. Okay. If you're born a certain way, you don't have no, you're just born with that. Some people were born with mums. Some people's leg was a little bit longer than the other one. Someone had something wrong here, or just something. You might have something wrong with these. Anything is wrong with your eye, or on that level. If you're going to serve in the service of Yahweh, you cannot have a mum. You cannot be close to Yahweh with a mum. You understand? So when we look at this red cow right here, he said he can't have a mum. He can't have a defect. So then the question would be, well, how do you define what a defect is? So you're saying that something that's without a mum would be what? Perfect? And the answer to that is yes. Yes. We're not talking religious talk. We're talking from, they had to examine this cow to find out, was his eyes functioning? Did it function? Can it move? Can it walk? Did it have any sores? Did it have any blindness? Did it have any running issues? Was his feet straight? Was it in the manner in which Yah has designed it to be? Was it multicolored, or did it all have all the red hairs? What was it? See, so what we're learning from Yah is that perfection, or that which is perfect, is that which functions. You understand? It's how it functions. Is it in the way that Yah created it to be? And the answer to that is yes. Okay. Something that has a mum, all right, or a defect, because that's what a mum is. A mum is a defect. It means that some part of you is not functioning correctly. Okay. So for a man or a woman, it would be a rash. Right? That's not, it'd be a spot on your skin. Okay. It would be a running issue. Okay. It would be a leaky eye, a leaking eye. It was not functioning correctly. It'd be those types of things. Those are the things. So we look and say, well, Yah's not concerned with that. Yes, he is concerned. Yah's concerned with the physicality and the function of that which he's made. Okay. And does it have a bearing upon the person's soul? And the answer to that is no. No. Because Yah has already given us an example and said, if someone had a mum and who was born in the Kohen's family, they couldn't be able to come and serve me, but they could eat of my set apart things. I still let them do that. So they're not completely away from me. They just can't come in my presence. You understand? So this red cow wasn't a spiritual cow. It was actually a physical cow, right? That had to be perfect from Yahweh's perspective. And so perfection from his standpoint, according to what he's written, is not necessarily I would say, was he looking at the soul of the cow? No, he's looking at the body of the cow. That which the body of the cow is a reflection of the perfection that would provide what do you would call it, cleansing from something that you had no control over, from sin, that in particular sin, which has to be the touching of something that's dead. Okay, or you just walked on a grave, or you turned over a body, or you touched a dead bone, a bone of a human being or an animal's. You understand? So anything that died, y'all saying death can be transferred, and because you're in my presence, I'm an Elohim of that which is living, not an Elohim of that which is dead. You and I can only serve Yahweh while we're living. That's the only time you and I can serve him. That's it. And there's no other way. There's no other time that you and I. The question is, so was the red heifer rare? There's some discussion about how rare it was, but the fact of the matter is, I don't believe that it was rare. I don't believe it was rare. I mean, the Jewish community say, they say, well, they're still looking to find a red heifer and find one that's like, no, nothing wrong. Not one hair out of place. Well, who defined what that is? Do you think Israel went through that? No. Let me ask you a question. According to the Torah portion, who is supposed to go get the red heifer? Who's supposed to bring the red heifer?
Wasn't the people?
The people are supposed to grab a red heifer, and they're the ones who's supposed to determine and bring it to Elazar, the Kohen. You see? So that's what that's about. So was it rare? I don't think so. I think they knew they had to have one. There was no other cow that could have been used. And we look at any of the offerings that were made regarding cows and bulls and lambs and goats. Yah says they can't have a defect. They can't have a moon. So it's not something special. It's just something that functions well. It's something that's not defective. Okay. So Yah's letting us know that I want to maintain my relationship with my people. And I'm letting you know that in order for this to happen, there can't be no defectiveness in it. I'm actually looking for something perfect. And the perfection I'm looking for is function. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking just for it to just look, everything to be looking a certain way. It's when you talk about a moon, you're talking about a defect, something that will cause this cow or this lamb or anything to not function properly. Any kind of sickness can bring that. So you and I are scattered all over the four corners of the earth. And Yah tells us that we're unclean. We're unclean. We're not fit right now. If you got any eczema, you're unfit. Yah's not, his people cannot be in a situation they're in right now and being sick and everything and think that they're just going to tear down the middle wall of partition. Remember? Christianity said they went in and tore the wall down to separate us from Yah. You got to hear what they're saying. Tear down the wall that separates us from Yah. So what we're going to do is now, you and I are holy now, and you and I can go straight to Yah. How are we supposed to go? What did they say in the New Testament? What did the Greeks tell you? Told you to do it boldly.
Go boldly, yeah.
Go boldly. And unclean as well. You go boldly, and you go in no matter that you want to go. because Christos tore down the middle wall that separated us from the Creator. And he did it by dying for our sins. He was supposed to be innocent, and he died for the wicked to set the wicked free from judgment. As I told you before, I don't understand how that's possible. Because the only reason why someone would be saved and delivered is so they can give Yahweh praise. That's the only reason why Yahweh would save Israel, is so they can proclaim his praise. So the question is, after we've been so-called saved, why was nobody ever told about Yahweh's name? And matter of fact, in the book of Psalms, he says, you're our salvation, set us free so we can come and worship you and have a joyful song when we come up to your temple. And that has not happened. So you and I are not saved from nothing. You and I are in exile. And why is it that we're here? We're in it just like he put them in the desert, is to teach us and to talk to us, to get us prepared to finally meet our Elohim. And you and I are getting the understanding right now. We're saying we want to keep the kokim. I want to keep the kokim. I want to do what you say. You think it's about me and you keeping the kokim on a red heifer? It's not given to you and I to figure out when we're going to get a red heifer. Like the Jewish people, that's what they're doing. They're trying to find a red heifer. They've still been doing for years. For like the last 7 years, they've been saying they've been looking for the right one. It's never happened. They said we need the red heifer so we can sprinkle ashes, so we can take those ashes and we can purify the temple. So,
And Brother Dawid, he said that when he takes us back to the land, he's going to cause our livestock to grow in abundance. So we'll have those things that are required for the sacrifice.
yes,
So if they don't have a red heifer, that should tell you something.
that should tell you something. You should tell you that he's not with them. It should also
Right.
tell you they're trying to misapply. Like if, for example, if they tell them a red heifer, so those people over there right now, they touch dead people all the time. They touch them all the time. So if Yah's with them, like they claim, why haven't you had the ashes of the red heifer? Why do you have homosexuality all through your city? Why do you have a lot of theft and robbery? Why are you fighting with the Palestinians? Why are you guys kicking out the people that have been there as citizens? Why? Why is all the nations going against you? Why are you a nuclear power? Why? You see? So it stands to reason if you and I start thinking and just put the pieces of the puzzle together, when you read, they don't want you and I to read the Torah. They don't want you to read the Torah. They don't want you to know the language either. Because you'll find out the secret. You'll find out that, wait a minute, I'm the people. Because everything that they're doing is against the Torah. So is the God of Israel, is he there now in Jerusalem? Trump's name is there on the building. I guess Elohim is there too, huh? Okay. The uncircumcised, Yah says the uncircumcised won't enter Jerusalem. Are there uncircumcised in Jerusalem today?
Sure.
He said, I'm going to make there be peace. There won't be any fighting. No more. Nobody ever come against you again. Are they at war right now? Are they always fighting? I'm going to set my tabernacle among you, and your children will be dancing in the streets. Are they dancing in the streets, or are they getting blown up by bombs?
Yeah, they're fighting in the street.
You're fighting in the streets. So when we put the pieces together and we're waking up to this truth, it's simply to prepare you and I to understand. Yah says, I need to make you jealous of the people who claim to be you. So I want you to see that long enough so you'll know. You'll get mad. You get mad as hell. Like, why are these people acting like they're us? Why are they doing it? Why did they say it's okay for a man to have sex with a child? They said it in the Talmud. Okay, for you to disrespect your parents.
I didn't get that.
You understand? They say all these things. They say it's okay to have sex. A woman can have sex with a beast. You think I'm lying? That's in the Sanhedrin. That's in their teaching. So every time you try to, bring something up and you bring it to their attention, they get mad. You guys, you and I are the people of Yahweh. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So he's bringing us through it to let us know, like, you are my people. and I'm going to bring you back home and I'm going to set things straight. But what I need to do is to show you. So I'll give you a chance to turn from your ways, because I do want you to come back. I do want you to be with me. Okay. But we can't be together. And I don't intend for us to be together until you recognize who I am. In closing, I want to verify what I said. I want you to see it for yourself so you don't think I'm lying. Okay. This is from the Talmud. Everyone can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so it says approves of sodomy. If anyone committed sodomy with a child less than 9 years old, no guilt is incurred. Sanhedrin 54b. They approve of a child sacrificed to idols. He who gives of his seed to Moloch incurs no punishment. And I know that Yah says if anybody gives to that, you're dead. That's in Sanhedrin 64a. You're cursing your parents are allowed, according to Sanhedrin 66a. One who curses his parents isn't punished unless he curses them by the divine name. Meaning, if you use Yahweh's name, then that's when you're going to get death. But if you look on the other side over here, what the real Torah says, and the Tanakh says, in Exodus, it tells you that, look, he who curses his father or mother shall be put to death. They're not going to tell you that. They allow you to do enchanting. It is permitted. Look, it's right here. Write this down. If someone talking crazy, take them to Sanhedrin 101a and tell them it is permitted to consult by a charm the spirits of oil and eggs and make incantations. Well, guess what the Torah, Deuteronomy number 18 says this: none of you shall be an enchanter or a charmer or consulter with familiar spirits. Which one is called the Holy Spirit?
Then they're supposed to be put to death.
Okay, you're going to die for that. Bestiality is condoned. Yeah, it was incantations, yes. Bestiality is condoned. Women having intercourse with a beast can marry a priest. The act is but a mere wound because she had sex with a dog. So now, according to their writings, the Yabamol 59b, you'll find out that she can have intercourse with the beast. It's nothing but a mere wound. Okay? Yah condemns it in Leviticus 18. They said harlotry is lawful. A harlot's hire is permitted. For what the woman has received is legally a gift. That's avoda zarah. And avoda zarah, if you know what avoda is service. And zara means seed. Okay? So the service of the seed. So if she's a harlot, right? Whatever she gets for her harlotry is a legal gift. It's not a problem with them. Yah tells us in Deuteronomy 22, in Davarim, she that plays the whore in her father's house shall be put to death. And guess what? By fire. You understand? And last but least, blasphemy is allowed. It's allowed. One can revile the divine name if mentally applying it to some other object. You can do that. Yah says you can't do that. Okay. This is what these people are doing. So anytime you talk to these rabbis and you're talking to these so-called, priests and all these individuals, understand. There it is. Oh, here's something a little bit nastier for you. This is for pedophile. They love this. Okay. Pedophilia is condoned and is even commanded. Check this out, by the Jewish holy book called the Talmud. The Talmud is considered the highest authority in the Jewish belief system, more authoritative than the Holy Bible itself. The Talmud, if you understand and know the language, right? Talmud. Okay. The T means you in Hebrew, because that's the Tav. In my Hebrew class, you know what that means, you. Okay. Second person. Okay. The Lamud right here is the L space M space D. Put these letters here, Lamad, and it means to learn. So you learn. That's what a Talmud means. That means they're going to teach you what they're learning, and they're called students. That's what a Talmud is. A Talmudim is a student. So that's what this means. It means you learn Talmud. That's why they read it all the time. Okay. So according to their students and according to the teachers they're teaching them this, they said a Jew might marry a 3-year-old girl. And this is in Sanhedrin 55b. It's right here. Go search it. I did. You can marry a 3-year-old girl, specifically 3 years old and a day old. As long as she's 3 years old and a day, you can marry her. A Jew may have sex with a child as long as that child is over 9 years old. It's right here. Okay. The Ketubot, right? 11, when a grown-up man has intercourse with the little girl, it's nothing, according to them. When the girl is less than 3 years old, it is as if one puts the finger into the eye. Just a little poke. Tears come down, tears come to the eye again and again. So does virginity come back to a little girl under 3 years old. You know, she's under 3 years. When a small boy has intercourse with a grown-up woman, he makes her as a girl who injured by a piece of wood. See? So you can have a little boy with a girl or with a woman. Thus, the Talmud teaches that having sex with a little girl or less than 3 years old and a day is no more than an effect of her than if she gets poked in the eye and her virginity will grow back again. That's their mindset. An adult Jewish woman can seduce little boys and is no more of a consequence than if the Jewish had injured herself with a wooden object. This is the mindset of the Talmud. You learn. They teach this on a regular basis. Okay? So you gotta ask yourself the question: are these people? Are they the people of Elohim? No. H to the E to the double hockey stick. No. Do you see why Yah wants us to defend his words? Do you see why we're literally at war? You understand? So this is the reason why you read the Torah, because everybody knew the answers to these questions. Yah doesn't care about anybody but Israel and those who join themselves to Israel. Everybody else he doesn't care about. Your friends, like me, I have friends who are from all nationalities. And they asked me, so you're saying that you're the chosen people? And I said, yeah. And he loves no one else. And I said, no, he cares about individuals that join themselves to Israel and who join to his covenant. And that's in Isaiah 56. So he's not saying that you shouldn't say that you're not his people, but you got to join the covenant. You have to bind yourself to Yah, as Aki had brought out, saying about binding yourself to Yahweh. You got to tie yourself to Yah. If you don't tie yourself to Yahweh, okay, including Israel, you're going to be destroyed. That's just what it is. You're going to be annihilated. Okay. So we're the people. Don't apologize for that. Just understand what it means. That's what the Torah says. Ain't nothing any of us can do about it. But don't worry. If you don't believe me, you don't believe what Yah's saying, don't worry. You're going to have a day where you're going to see it. Like we read last week or the earliest week. You go see people's faces turn green and men with their hands on their stomach, wailing and crying because they know it's over. Any questions, contributions?
No, but all I will say is that if you don't like it, go read Yeshayahu 40 if you think you want to counsel Yah.
He asked the question, who's my counselor? Who tells me what I should do? Nobody. Nobody can tell him nothing.
Yes, sir.
So he made in Isaiah 40, everyone, he just gave us a rundown like, you guys are going to try, they're going to try to get you to believe that some man is me. and that I talk to somebody and somebody else is going to be with me and we're going to do a joint, thing together. We're going to be teamed up, Batman and Robin, together with Alfred. That's what we're going to do. I said it ain't going to happen like that. Nobody means anything to Yah except for Israel. We just read that. There's going to be bodies strewn from one side of the earth to the next. Why am I laughing? Because everyone thinks that it's not going to happen. They don't believe that what Yahweh says. They don't believe what he says. They don't believe that he's angry, and for our people, they don't like to listen. This is the last rodeo, people. Why did you wake up? Did somebody in your church tell you to wake up? Did you get something? You get a brochure? Did somebody hand you a brochure and tell you you're Israel? Did you get a mailer?
No, sir.
Yeah, started talking to you and said, "Hey, you need to search this out." And you said, "Okay, I'll search it out." And when you found it, you was like, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh, where's the people?" And then you got all excited and everything, and then all of a sudden you started reading a little deeper. Oh my God, we're gonna kill everybody! Ah! Read a little further. Oh my God, there is no savior. You're the only savior. Oh my God, you're not blessed. We're not blessed. We're in exile. Oh, read the Psalms. They're crying to Yah because they say, how long are you going to punish us? How long are you going to let our enemies defeat us? They weren't dancing around acting like they're not defeated. They understood the situation and the circumstances that they're in. We can play if we want to. We're not recognized as a people. We've been, amalgamated. We've been brought into an alliance with everybody around the world. We don't have our own name. Hip hop is not our culture. That's something that was created. We don't have any real leaders. We don't have nobody fighting for us. We're out there begging people to give us a holiday. You should get a shirt to call I'm 3/5. Where's the other 2/5? That's the question. Where is it at? When is that ever going to be honored? Well, guess what? It'll never be honored until Yahweh restores us as his people. You and I don't have an abundance of food. We don't have safety. We don't have an army. We don't have a commander. We have nothing. We got our jobs and we got our mates and we got our family. And you know what? We need to be thankful that we do have that. And we do have each other. Let's be thankful for that. That's what I say. Let's be thankful for what we do have. Let's don't give up on Yah. Let's tell him we're sorry. Kiri in the Torah said, man, this is a bad week for Israel. This is another bad week. Every week, it's a week after week after week of somebody getting killed, getting wiped out, making some mistakes, complaining. And you know what they kept saying? We would have been better off just dying. It's best for us just to die. They didn't take the time to figure out why Yah brought them out there. Hopefully I have something to say to you on Shabbat. Any comments? I'll let you guys go. I'm long-winded. I'm sorry. I just want to let you guys know. Anything else? Anybody want to say anything?